from ARRL, American or Amateur Radio Relay League, who says what is so for the amateurs. Bottom line, the origin of the term ham has been lost in the mist of time. So you pick one. I'm sticking with ham-fisted. The two that I really do like, though, is what we describe people who are coming into the, if you want to call it the hobby, the service, whatever you want to call it. We refer to them as hams. When you first come into the hobby, it means has a lot of money. And in it means had a lot of money. The church has adopted this system of amateur radio for several reasons. First of all, you'll see this occasionally. When all else fails, there's amateur radio. And the reason for that is, let's look at a couple things here. FRS, GRMS radios, great radios. They work on, amateur radio has many bands. The two most common are what we call the 2-meter band and the 440 band. And that actually designates how big the wavelength is. 2 meters, approximately 6 feet. Well, from peak to trough, that's how big the signal is. That's what the wavelength, if you could see it, was. 440 is shorter. These are on the 440 band here. And if you have a guy who's a tinkerer and has modified his radio, which is illegal, but one wouldn't do that, okay? You could pick this up on a radio like this. Okay. What's the difference, though? Why don't we just use these? Okay. The definition of FRS GRMS radios is that it has a fixed antenna. You can't take this off. Trust me, if I could take this off, I could make it work the way I want it to. But you can't. So it's a fixed antenna. Amateur radio. No fixed antenna. What does this mean to me? To you? Radios have to look up the antenna and see a certain resistance and a certain, they have to have some electrical properties to function and to be happy. Okay? If you look at some of your car radio antennas on the hood, you'll see a wire wrapped around them underneath plastic. You'll see that? That's to fake out the radio, to make it think that the antenna is this long when it's only this long. We're faking the radio out here. This will function. It's okay. This is better. Okay? We're getting a more efficient antenna here. This is all right. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. This is good. We're getting better here. This is getting closer to what we want. Oh yeah. Now we've got coils and stuff in here to really fake out the antenna, or excuse me, the radio. This is even better, but oh yeah. Now we're talking. Okay. In this case, bigger is more efficient. Okay? Not what you thought. More efficient.
Is that range and quality?
Yes, absolutely. It's termed gain. Okay? Gain.
So how far is the
No gain.
How far is the range of that thing?
Getting there. Here, okay? Power on this. Do you know what the power max is on this? 250 milliamps. What is that? It's about a quarter of a watt. Okay, and we rank these by watts of power. Everything that I'm going to say to you right now is theoretical, calculated. It's not practical, as Corey pointed out. The rule of thumb in radio is, and all of these, by the way, are in the bands that are line of sight. If you get a mountain in the way, a big, massive steel concrete building, your signal is going to be reflected, it's going to bounce, it'll probably come back and hit you in the face. It's not going to go where you hope it goes. These are all theoretical calculations. The rule of thumb is 1 watt equals 50 miles. So theoretically, if you stand on a mountain and see a mountain 50 miles away, you should theoretically be able to get it with an efficient antenna. So let's go back here. 1 watt, 50 miles. Half a watt, 25 miles. Quarter watt, 12 miles. How many of you seen these packages that say 12 miles? That's a theoretical calculation. Okay? So first of all, you have a quarter-watt inefficient antenna. Everything's theoretical. It's true. It's not practical. Lynn Heiner took and stood down here on Orange, watched his daughter drive away, and they got about 3/4 to a mile away, and that's about as good as it gets. Don't expect any more out of them. And that's not belittling the radio. I use these all the time. They're great when I'm up in the attic and Joyce is down there and I need to know whatever it is I need to know. Or something at the electrical box, and is that the right plug? They work very well. They're inexpensive. You know, they're good to have. An amateur radio operator would be caught with that, but I have 2 of them. So. These here on your HTs are 5 watts. Okay, 5 watts. Remember, everything I've talked about is theoretical. Okay. What makes amateur radio important to us, to the church, and in emergency communications is that we can take that antenna off. And the more efficient you can make your antenna, you can take that low power and make it behave like it's a whole bunch more power. For example, this is not a plumbing lesson, and every antenna design that comes out, I try to make one. Okay. See if I can make it talk. This happens to be a fold-up design of an antenna I put on your house. No, that's right, you got the magnet. Yeah. This is what we call a J-pole. This is a real interesting little design. This actually functions on 2 meters and 440 because of some harmonic things that go on. Now, guess what? This happens to be hooked into itself, but I can take the coax and hook it into here, and remember, this one, when it was extended, was better. Guess what? This one's even better. This one actually has some gain to it. Now, at our last emergency preparedness test that we had, Steve actually, when we set up our stations, I was over at the Institute, Steve was over at the State Center, used one of these. And I don't know if he knows it or not, but he was transmitting with this, and you had it up about 30 feet. Okay. Oh, by the way, elevation always helps. Higher the better. You know, if these tall guys can see over everything, don't you just hate them? Movies. Higher up the better. More efficient the better. Steve was working, when we were talking here, it just so happened that another group was doing emergency tests the same day, located down in San Clemente, Irvine, Mission Viejo. And guess who was interfering with their conversations?